Now, this local Castle Country sports update with Jordan Buscarini from KOAL.
Joining us in the studio today, we have a very special guest, Carbon High School football coach Phil Howa. It's that time of the year. We're gearing up for the start of the season, which will be August 11th as Carbon takes on Hillcrest, but we do have the blue and white game coming down the pipe this week. Coach, always a pleasure to get you in.
Oh, thanks, guys, for having me in.
I'll always look forward to it, Coach. And as I said, it's go time. I don't know where the summer went. You and I were talking about that during the break. It's kind of amazing that it's football time.
I think the kids are shocked. Football's hard. We do a lot of stuff in the summer and we're working, trying to get better every day. And all of a sudden we're looking around and saying, wow, we're under the gun in 2 weeks. 1 week, really. At the end of Friday, we're going to be under the gun showing what we've been working on. So it's exciting, though. It's nice that we got through the summer the way we did. It was a hot summer, hotter than I can remember. But you know what? We did practices in mornings and afternoons and kept the kids out of the sun as best we could. And I think they appreciate it. And you know what? It's go time.
I've been looking forward to this season because knowing you the way I do, Coach, going back to your time at Helper, you have these kids, these seniors, they've been yours now for 4 seasons. Their entire high school football career has been with you as their head coach. And the continuity at Carbon High has always been something that I think the football program has missed. If you take a look at the amount of coaches, I know Coach Huntsman was here for a good 4 or 5 seasons, but it's just something that a lot of kids have not had an opportunity at Carbon High School to play for one coach their entire 4 years. And these kids, these seniors, that's what they have this year.
Yeah. We don't have a whole lot of them this year. If you figure it out, if anybody can figure it out, let us know why. But, they get distracted. Girlfriends, work, that kind of stuff. Things become more important than football. But the kids that are stuck here, Jeremy Smith, Diego Vega, Alexis Bueno, those type of kids, I think they're enjoying it. And I think they're taking a leadership role. They're stepping up and being team leaders and pushing these younger kids to be better. And I like what I see. I like the hard work.
I know that there have been some changes within the coaching staff, not necessarily with the addition of coaches, but you guys have kind of maneuvered around. And I think, Coach, that's the idea of progress, right? I mean, now you've been able to assess things for the last 3 years. You've been able to look at what works, what doesn't work, and finding the right place on the bus for the great staff that you have. Is that a fair assessment? Is that the right way to put it?
I do have a great staff, and you hit that right on the head. I got guys that know the game. I just felt like Brandon worked really well. Brandon Wilson worked really well with that younger group of kids, and I just felt it was a great time for him to come up with them because they understood each other, and I wanted to give him a chance to take him to this next level. Jimmy and Nick moved down to the bottom, and I'd do the same in 2 years for them. If they bring these kids up and they're successful, why not give them the chance to go to that varsity level with the kids that they've trained? I think it's just continuity. You got to have people that you can understand, and you have to have people you trust and care about. That's the game. That's football.
Yeah, I think the idea of Coach Parker and Coach Childs being with a younger group, those are 2 pretty good football minds. They're 2 guys that I know the kids really respect. Sometimes we put so much emphasis on the varsity because that's what really counts, that we overlook the freshman, sophomore JV group, but that's just as important to building a cohesive program.
Well, that's what, we had that tenacity last year in the younger group. Our freshman and sophomore JV kids really had a tenacity about them, and that's kind of where I wanted to bring that and keep that together and keep that continuity with the coach that, with Wilson and myself. I feel like I have a lot to give to that group of kids, and defensively we're calling plays that they feel like they're understanding and trying to make them understand if they're called into a blitz, you got to blitz. If you're called into a stunt or a slant, you got to slant. You got to do what we ask you to do because everyone has a role, and they're taking those roles serious. And as a team, they're great. Individuals, not so good, but as a team, they do good things.
And when we talk about the team from a player perspective, not a ton of returners. In fact, we start with the offense. I mentioned, 3 returning starters offensively, and you said, well, that's being kind.
Yeah, we're young. We have a young group of kids, but they got a lot of playing time last year. They played freshman, sophomore, and varsity time last year, and some of them really loved it. Some of them, maybe not, but they got some good reps, and I think they're at a stage as a junior to step up into a senior role and play some good offensive line, defensive line for us. That's where our strength, and our older kids are playing those specialty positions. Those linebackers, we have our older senior kids that have got the reps and understand the game a little better. Kind of the team leaders on that defensive side. Your quarterbacks, your receivers out offensively are typically the older kids that kind of understand the X's and O's a little better. So overall, you know what, we're going to be young, but I think we have good experience. And these kids, I think, know football a little better than the previous years. Typically, we just have kids that want to come and play the game, don't really know what it's about, learn as they go. This group, I think, really, truly believe and love the game of football. So it'll be interesting to see.
Again, our guest right now, Coach Phil Howa, as we talk about the Carbon High School football season. Friday night, blue and white game. Next week, season opener against Hillcrest. Coach, I want to talk about what you guys have coming back defensively as well. You have experience, I guess we could say, in the front seven. That's where you guys are going to be the most experienced, right, going into this season. Your defensive line, your linebacking core are going to be a little bit young in the secondary.
Right. Yeah, we have, I think, one senior, secondary-wise. But, again, following up with that, the juniors that are in that starting role are good. They're good, experienced football players. They were leaders last year in the younger group of kids, and they're willing and have worked so hard this summer to get ready and learn their positions. So, you know, we're talking different cover threes, cover twos, cover zeros, that type of stuff. And these kids understand that, and they actually know when to call them, when to get out, when to get into things. With all the new spread offenses, the trips and all that stuff, you have to kind of be diversified and be willing to go man up, cover two, that kind of stuff. So overall, those kids, even though they're young, I think they have some good football experience.
Let's talk about the schedule. I really like the way it plays out. So season opener against Hillcrest, non-region schedule. We're looking at Grand, Ogden, Bear River, Emory. I like that schedule. Some familiar opponents, but a little bit of newness as well with Bear River. Don't know too much about this team. Should be a pretty challenging matchup, but I like it. I like the schedule, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it. I don't know if my coaches like it, but it's okay. You know what? I had an opening where Bear River stepped up and said, we're looking for a game, and I was worried I wasn't going to have one because the second year I was here, we didn't have one, and it kind of screwed up our year. So I reached and asked them if they'd play, and they said yes. And the next week we had the team that we played the year before, North Severe, called me and said, "Hey, Coach, you still got week 4 open?" And I'm a man of my word. I said, "No, I've already signed the paper or given my word that we're coming." So, you know what? My coaches think it's a long ways. It's not as far as they think. They keep laughing at me, but I just went over to Vancouver this summer. And you know what? It's 3.5 hours away. 3 hours, 3.5. Yeah, whatever. It's like going to Cedar City. So what's the difference?
Sure. Blanding, right? We make the Blanding trip. Yeah. So I look at the schedule and I look at the toughness of it. You know, the strength of schedule is there. I feel with the RPI, you are better off losing to a quality team than beating a below average team. Yeah. And so I applaud the strength of the schedule.
Well, we're hoping. I truly feel like we can play against these kids. You know, Emory's got a good specialty group of kids, but they're weak offensive line wise. I mean, they're young. So I think we can maybe compete against them with our line compared to theirs. So it's about playing football. We got 4 quarters to play. We've been preaching all year. You can't only play a half. You can't only be satisfied. You get out what you put in. You know what? We've been putting in a lot of hard work. I'm hoping it's enough work to make these kids say, you know what? We've worked too hard to let this game get away from us. Just dig down. It's not over till it's over. And I truly believe they bought into it. They've worked hard. They're just good, tough kids. Best group of kids I've been involved with. I'm really proud of them.
And of course, it is the new year for alignment as far as the regions are shaping out. And I mean, it's a lot of familiar names, Coach. Manti, Richfield, North San Pete, Juab, Canyon View. We've seen these teams before, but as I was talking with you off, you've become the longest tenured coach in this region. It's bizarre to think about.
It's crazy. I don't know what happened. I thought all those guys were going to be there forever.
Yeah.
They seemed like they had successful teams, and I guess maybe got better offers somewhere else or decided it wasn't for them. Coaching it's not easy, you guys. It's takes a lot of time. You sacrifice your family time. You sacrifice a lot of things to be a coach. And you know what? Sometimes coaches got to decide what's most important. And I applaud them. If that's what they've decided, that it's time to make a change and go be a family man, that's good for them. So
we can end with this, Coach. Blue and white game coming up on Friday. What's the biggest point of emphasis for you in a game like this?
Well, we want to give our young kids a chance to show their stuff. We do have enough young kids to have a good frosh game. You know, we're going to separate freshmen and sophomores on 2 separate teams, and then we're going to bring the varsity kids in and separate. We're going to have to use some of the sophomores, I think, to fill in some spots varsity-wise. But you know what? They're kids that I think can come up, and I'm not putting them in jeopardy of going against too big strong kids. So just to see if all the work's going to pay off. I mean, right now they act like and they work like they know what they're doing, but you know, you put under the gun and it sometimes changes things. I'm expecting great things. I think Stockton Kennedy's going to be have a great day. I think Paxton Falk will have a great day. I've got 2 new young quarterbacks, that freshman, sophomore. You know, it's going to be fun. That's what I want. I want kids to go have fun and realize that the hard work is going to pay off. And you know, we'll have our uniforms on, and it'll be fun.
It's really, I don't want to say it's the last time, but you beat up on your teammates one more time under the lights, and then it's preparation for Hillcrest.
Yep. Then it's all about getting ready for each game a week at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we look at Hillcrest and focus on them, and then we go to Moab and focus on them. And pretty soon we're halfway through the year, and then before you know it, we're done.
Yeah.
We'll be saying goodbye. I can't believe how fast time goes. I don't know where the summer went, but you know what? We're still here, and we're still loving the game and enjoy working with the kids. Great parent group, great support from parents. What more can a coach ask for?
Well, Coach, I appreciate you stopping by and talking about the offseason, preparing for the regular season. I know we have plenty more conversations up and coming, but again, thank you so much, and we'll see you at the game on Friday.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate you.